Hi friends, good afternoon. Today in this video we are going to discuss briefly about the role of speaker and the importance of the office of speaker. As we all know that the speaker is called the presiding officer of the Lok Sabha or the presiding officer of the state legislative assembly. The speaker of the house has become very prominent over a period of time in the increasing political crisis. If you look at present day situation in Rajasthan, how the group of MLAs have come from one particular party and are wanting to go to another party, or in the last year case of Karnataka MLAs, where many MLAs were disqualified by the speaker, where the group of MLAs from one party went to another party, where they're trying to either destabilize the government or to form another government. In this entire political crisis that happened in Karnataka, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and very recently in Telangana in last year, we've all realized that how important the role of speaker is, and not just at the state level but also at the national level. In that light, this video is going to throw some important throw light on certain important factors on this role of speaker. So as we all know that the speaker of the house will be elected by the members of the Lok Sabha, and later the date of the election of the speaker will be fixed by the president, and the voting happens, and then the speaker will be elected. Pro tem speaker is generally the person who facilitates the election of the new speaker of the new house, and we all have to keep in mind one thing is speaker does not vacate his office until unless a new Lok Sabha has been constituted. In that case, if you look at the role of speaker and the office of speaker, from article 93 to 97 of the Indian constitution clearly mentions the office of speaker and its functions at the parliament, and similarly from article 178 to 186, these provisions in the constitution clearly mention about the office of speaker at the state legislative assemblies. Now, what is the role of speaker? We all know that speaker has an important and prominent role in the parliament, where he facilitates the democratic functioning, where he facilitates the lawmaking process. But apart from this, why is it important for us to study the role of speaker? The first integral role of speaker is seen in the conduct of business and regulation of proceedings of the house. If you look at our parliamentary proceedings over a period of time, you see there's a lot of distraction, there are a lot of walkouts, there are a lot of disturbances happening in the parliament. So in order to facilitate a democratic way of law making process, speaker's role becomes very important. That is the reason the office of speaker is an independent constitutional office. The foremost important thing about the office of speaker is impartiality and independence are the sine qua non of the office of speaker. So what happens, why is it important for the office of speaker to be impartial and also independent? Because he is a guardian of powers and privileges of members. So if you look at the Lok Sabha, 545 members of the Lok Sabha, that we have something called parliamentary privileges. Every member who's elected to the Lok Sabha has certain privileges, has certain powers. So in this case, what does speaker do? Speaker ensures that those powers and privileges are kept intact, and not just as for the individual members but for the entire house as a whole. He maintains the integrity of the house, and most importantly, speaker constitutes most of the committees. If you look at the committees of the Lok Sabha of the parliament, most often the members to those committees are appointed by the speaker. And another important aspect of the speaker is that he's a principal spokesperson of the house. All the decisions taken in all the parliamentary matters, the decision of the speaker is final. I think this is where the fundamental power for the office of speaker comes in, that all the decisions that are taken in the house, the interpretation and the decisions will be final, and there is no second to it. And similarly, now when we say that his decisions are final, we also have to understand that where his power comes. The power for the office of speaker comes from three sources. One is the Constitution of India, two, the rules of procedure, three, the conduct of business of Lok Sabha, and also certain parliamentary conventions. So when the office of speaker is deriving its power, the veracity of power is coming from three different sources. That means it shows the strength of the office of speaker. And most importantly, as we mentioned before, the independence and impartiality are the guiding forces and the guiding light for the office of speaker. We all know that in India, unlike in UK, the office of speaker is most often in controversies because of the inalienable nature of the party affiliation that the speaker has. If you look at UK, once the speaker has been elected to the house, he will be resigned from the party membership. Whereas in India, that does not happen. Let's say if X person has been elected as the speaker of the Lok Sabha or the speaker of the state legislative assembly, he still continues to have his party membership, whatever the party he belongs to. So most often the criticism that comes to the office of speaker is about that when you are elected as the speaker, you ought to resign so that it helps in maintaining the partiality, so that it helps to prevent that partiality and helps in having a fair and free process of democratic functioning within the house. So what happens through this impartiality and this independence will also help in maintaining the prestige, maintaining the reputation, position and authority of the speaker. In that case, we have certain functions that the speaker of office is attend. One, it safeguards the democratic tradition and conventions. Two, it facilitates effective and meaningful representation. Now what does that mean? Let's say there are a group of people of one particular party who wants to disrupt and who walks into the well and who wants to completely disrupt the parliamentary proceedings of that day. As a speaker, the ex-person who's sitting in the speaker's office will make sure that their grievances are addressed. They are given enough chance, they're given enough time so that they can express their grievances in a public platform where the entire nation is watching. In this case, effective and meaningful representation is ensured by the office of speaker. Similarly, it also helps in smooth functioning and smooth flow of lawmaking process. We all know that the state legislatures and the national legislature, that is parliament, are the center points, are the only places where the lawmaking process takes place. When a lawmaking process has to have a smooth way of functioning, we need someone like speaker who ensures that process, and he is ensuring that process not out of blue or not deriving it from some XYZ random sources, but it's a constitutionally mandated office. So when a constitutionally mandated office and a person like speaker is helping in a effective flow and making of lawmaking process, that helps to strengthen democracy. And most importantly, we all know how dissent is important in democracy. If you look at the entire sedition row, if you look at the the entire freedom of expression debate, or if you look at how dissenting voices has been taken into place, we all know that dissent is important in democracy, because only with disagreement, there's someone political thinker called J.S. Mill. He clearly said only through confrontation we move at better decisions. In that case, even if you look at the Supreme Court judgments over a period of time, there has always been a dissenting note, whether it's in Triple Talaq case or whether it is a Sabarimala issue. You see there are certain group of judges, when it's a constitutional bench, that they give a dissenting note. That means they don't agree with what is the existing process. It clearly means institutionally, India, which is a parliamentary democracy, has given a crucial importance to dissent. So how is dissent important in the role of speaker? When you are sitting in a parliament, when you're sitting in the Lok Sabha or in the state legislative assembly, not everybody belongs to one party. There is representation from many parties, because India is essentially a multi-party democracy. In this case, apart from the ruling dispensation, there could be other MLAs or MPs who wants to express their opinion, who don't agree necessarily with the lawmaking process, who don't necessarily agree with the details of the law that has been introduced or a bill that is being introduced. In that case, dissenting, not agreeing, registering your protest in an institutional and a constitutional manner is the fundamental backbone of democracy. Because if everybody agrees to, hypothetically, if everybody agrees to everything that has been said, there is no diversity, there is no multicultural facet bringing into the lawmaking process. In that case, speaker, the main function of the speaker is also to encourage dissenting voices to put their grievances, to put their opinion, so that the nation can see and the nation can listen to them. Because we are in a representative democracy, the representatives of the people who are elected to the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha or the state legislative assemblies have every right to express their opinion. In that case, the role of office of speaker becomes so very crucial, because he is facilitating dissent, not just the lawmaking process, but is also facilitating the dissent. And what happens through this process? By doing this, it strengthens the democratic function. One thing, friends, I think we all have to realize is democracy is not merely about free and fair elections or is about having certain institutions. Democracy is highly commendable when its traditions are followed as practice. So in this case, the role of speaker becomes very crucial because he's strengthening democracy. He's not just sitting in a house and letting people speak or representing some group of people, but he's also strengthening democracy. And what is happening through this? He cannot stifle democracy. If you look at the entire MLA disqualification cases happening in Karnataka, Rajasthan. Previously, if you look at the examples of Andhra Pradesh, where 23 YSRCP Congress MLAs joined TDP, and also recently in 2019, one-third of CLP Congress Legislative Party members have joined Telangana Rashtra Samiti. In this entire case, the role of speaker becomes very important, because if somebody comes to them and asks that how are you letting these things happen, the speaker is accountable. The speaker is accountable not to the XYZ, but speaker is accountable to the democratic functioning, because it's a constitutional authority. In that case, the speaker should not randomly allow or randomly take a decision of disqualifying the MLAs, or should not be impartial. In this case, what is he doing is he's facilitating a democratic functioning within the house, which is reflecting in the lawmaking process, which will further help in strengthening the democratic traditions across India. So the presiding officers do not have the right to take away the opinion. I mean, let's say, imagine you're sitting in the parliament and the entire opposition has been disqualified. You're just talking to the empty benches. There is nobody in the treasury benches sitting there. So in order to avoid this, role of speaker becomes more crucial, because the very foundation of parliamentary institution is the democratic function. So the role of speaker has to keep this in mind. So in this case, what happened? Was, like the examples that I mentioned before, there has been the office of speaker has been in controversy and often accused of being partial. In that case, we have something called SR Bommai judgment, which happened in 1994. It clearly said the speaker's decision are also subject to judicial review, because like we said, the speaker is also a party man. He is not resigning, so there could be a chance, there are many traces that he might have shown his loyalties towards the party that he has been elected to. In that case, SR Bommai judgment clearly mentioned that the decision taken by the speaker is also subject to judicial review. Now, if you look at the judicial review process, judicial review is also part of the basic structure doctrine. I mean, you cannot say that it cannot be reviewed. In the similar case, now what do we do? Is we have certain propositions made by various committees. The major proposition has been made by SR Bommai judgment, and 2 is impartiality should guide the office of the speaker. And we have certain speakers like G.V. Mavalankar, who was a stalwart speaker who is known for his impartiality. We also have someone like Somnath Chatterjee, who set a precedent in establishing that office of speaker is to ensure and furthering democracy, but not to stifle dissent, but not to really be with the present dispensation. In this entire row of disqualification, it needs an intervention. So we also see, if you look at the office of speaker and the increasing MLA disqualification cases, we also need to understand immediately another facet of this, which is called anti-defection law, which has come up, and it is clearly mentioned in the 10th schedule of the constitution, where we also have problems with that. So that's where this entire flow of the entire scenario of role of office of speaker, the anti-defection law and election procedure, they all have to be read in tandem, so that it gives a holistic and comprehensive understanding of this entire procedure.